All right, team. We are live on Instagram. We are live on YouTube. Welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence. My name is Dustin Jones. Today is Wednesday. We are talking about becoming the expert with workshops. Becoming the expert with workshops. Workshops, there's differing opinions on this. We're going to talk about why you don't want to do a workshop, why you may want to do a workshop to grow your brand, your practice, your business, and then more of the how-to, some specifics that many of us in the MOA faculty have learned, mainly through mistakes and some successes as well. Before we get into the goods, I do want to mention one course that I want to be on your all's radar. The MMOA Summit, the Modern Management of the Older Adult Summit, is going to be in Lexington, Kentucky, August 12th and 13th this upcoming year. So this is MMOA Live, our 2-day live course, where we are bringing all the faculty in for this one course. We only do this one time of year. It is going to be an absolute blast and just a huge party and tons of awesome learning. We are rolling out the newest version of MMOA Live on this particular weekend, and we would love for you all to join. That is in the lovely Lexington, Kentucky. If you're a fan of bourbon, we're right in the heart of all that fun stuff. We've got some fast horses as well, some good rock climbing. It's going to be a good time. You can go to ptonice.com to learn more about that course. All right, becoming the expert with workshops. So I've done several workshops in the context of Stronger Life, and I've learned a ton from these. Some don'ts, some do's. Why you may want to use it, why you may not want to use it. I think this is a very potent opportunity for a lot of folks. I want to dive into how to go about this because we're getting a lot of questions within our Modern Management of the Older Adult courses because there's a lot of folks that are kind of interested in doing this stuff, but there's a lot of barriers that they face. So let's go through kind of the don'ts or why you don't want to do a workshop, why you may want to do a workshop, and then more of the how-to. So I'm going to try and talk you out of doing a workshop first. All right. One, running workshops, going into other communities or bringing someone into your own facility is very time intensive, especially if you are super busy with your clinic, right? You're trying to see all the folks that are trying to pound and knock down your door to get on your caseload. You've got all the admin work. You're trying to get your documentation done. You've got a lot going on. And the thought of creating a slide deck, the thought of going and recruiting participants and inviting folks to come to this workshop is very daunting. It is very, very time intensive. So I do not want to underplay the amount of time that goes in to building out a workshop and executing it and making sure you get the most out of it. It is a lot of time and it may not be worth your time for certain individuals. Another thing that is an issue with the workshop, there's no guarantee, right? You're not guaranteed to get a return on your investment and to get those folks on your caseload or to get that client or that particular patient, right? You're rolling the dice, and usually we're rolling the dice with our time. They're not very costly to put on, but you are putting a lot of that time investment in and you're rolling the dice. There's a lot of upside, but there's no guarantee here. And then the main thing, the last thing that I want to mention in terms of why you don't want to do a workshop is we don't want to let workshops and a lot of these kind of marketing efforts to be a distraction. You'll hear in the realm of ICE, you'll hear this a lot where we really want to focus on getting good, not busy. You want to get good first before you try and get busy. What often happens to folks, especially folks kind of coming out of school, they may want to start their own thing. They get really busy. They get really busy on social media. They're creating content. They're doing workshops. They're talking, putting out content. They may get folks in their door in the clinic, but they haven't developed the clinical skills or the goods to keep those folks around or to generate that word of mouth referral, to build that reputation organically. That they really struggle in that department. They focus on getting busy first and not good. Here at ICE, we want you to get good first, and then you can get busy. All right. Now that we've said that, let's say you're good. All right. And you want to get busier. All right. Now we're talking. Let's run some workshops in. So why do you want to do some of these workshops? And particularly, I want to speak to folks that may be kind of new out of school, starting a new job, wanting to really develop your own brand, or maybe have the idea of pursuing your own business down the road. Or if you have kind of shifted gears later on in your career and you're opening up a new business, these can be very, very potent. All right. So one thing that we all feel, right, is that we have a lot of one-on-one interactions with folks. There's a lot of benefits to that. We gain tremendously from it. It's very fulfilling to know you have such a huge influence in someone's life on that one-on-one basis. But when we're talking about kind of taking things at scale and really growing your practice or even fitness facility for that matter, we want to be able to take that expertise that we're able to show in that one-on-one interaction at scale. And a workshop can be a great way to do that. That you can show your expertise, you can really become the expert of whatever topic in your neighborhood, in your community at scale when we're bringing more people into that particular situation or that interaction. So it can help you show your expertise at scale beyond kind of the one-on-one interactions that many of us find ourselves doing on a day-to-day basis. Number two, it helps you develop strong relationships and build strong relationships with different networks in a in-person format, which in the ever increasing digital world, the in-person interactions just become more and more valuable. That people are constantly inundated with all kinds of different video posts and marketing emails and text threads and all this type of stuff, that when you get in front of someone and you're able to show them the goods, you're able to show them your expertise and interact with someone on that personal level, that is potent, and people start to like you, trust you, and potentially use you in terms of business and spend their money. So developing those relationships in person, that is becoming even more and more valuable. Last but not least, in terms of why you want to do this, particularly for the folks that may not have a lot of speaking experience, is that there's a lot to gain from the business side of running workshops, but then also the personal development side. I can speak to this myself. I remember when I started doing some of these workshops that I was scared to death to talk about a lot of these things in front of people. And over time, you get more and more comfortable speaking in front of groups of people. But I found how those types of skills of being able to portray maybe a complicated topic in a digestible manner to groups at scale translates to so many things in so many areas of life, in terms of interpersonal communication, in terms of my ability to sell my services in a one-on-one format over video or at scale when I'm in a group. There's so many kind of trickle down effects that are pretty amazing and potent. So the personal development side, you're going to gain a lot from it from the personal side, even if from the business side you don't perceive a lot to gain. All right. So workshops, you want to do them. There's some reasons why you don't, but once you get good, you've got the skills to back it up. It's time to get busy, and you can do that with workshops. Lots of reasons to do that. Now let's talk about the how. All right. This is where a lot of people really fumble the bag here when they go to run the workshop and want to go through some points and give you all some really helpful resources that can help you do this in a very efficient manner. So one, right, we're starting out by picking the topic. What you need to really focus on is not something that you are, necessarily an expert in per se, but you really want to focus on whoever that target demographic is. What is their pain point? What are they really struggling with? What questions are you constantly getting answered? What diagnoses are you seeing on your case? So what is that thing that folks are struggling with? And your topic is the solution to that thing, right? For us at Stronger Life, a very common one is a lot of folks are very concerned about their balance and falls. Not necessarily their falls risk. That's more the PT realm, right? That we think about falls risk all the time in the realm of physical therapy. But when we're working with a lot of our folks at Stronger Life, they're not necessarily as concerned about that as opposed to just their balance. They use the term balance a whole lot more than falling. And so we're not necessarily going to do a workshop on reducing falls risk, right? We're going to talk about, better balance, being able to walk on that beach and not worry about things, something catchy that speaks to their pain point. For our folks, a lot of our folks, it's balance related. So we're going to use that in that topic, really speaking to their pain point. Want to do a side note here, because that pain point, luckily, what we've done within the Institute of Clinical Excellence, we have created a ton of slide decks around a lot of common pain points. So if you go on ptonice.com, go under the resources tab, you're going to see made for you slide decks so you can run this workshop around a particular pain point. We have one about balance. We have one about arthritis. We have one about getting up from the ground. I believe the pelvic division did one as well. That you can take these unbranded slides, take your branding, throw that on top of that, and be able to run this workshop in your community. We take all that content creation side, out the window, so you don't have to worry about that, and then do your thing and present that content. So the topic needs to be their pain point. Next, we want to gather media and contact information to where we have compounding benefits from this workshop. That's the big thing. The worst thing that you can do is just run a workshop and not think about all the benefits that you can capture after things happen, after that workshop happens on that Saturday morning or that Thursday evening or whatever it may be. So think compounding benefits. What does that mean? First, get their contact information to get into your lead funnel. What is their name? What is their email? What is their phone? Make that a requirement to register RSVP for that workshop or a sign-in sheet when they get there. You take that information, you put that into your lead funnel so they get the blog post that you put out, the newsletter that you put out, whatever piece of content where you're trying to solve their problems, they're going to get that on a consistent basis way down the road. Because oftentimes you may not convert a lot of folks in that workshop, but it's after that 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th exposure to your brand that they say, hey, that Dustin guy that talked about balance, man, I've been feeling kind of, a little wobbly on my feet. That's the guy I need to go talk to. I'm going to hit him up. That's how this typically happens. So get their contact info to get into that lead funnel. Next up is get a good setup to record your session via video and audio for a few different reasons. One is that you can take that information and you can make it into different formats of content that can go on your social media channels, on your website, on a YouTube channel, whatever it may be, right? You can kind of really geek out about those details, but all that I want you to focus on is just to capture that stuff. Capture it, and you'll be able to use that content way down the road in terms of posting content to your various channels, right? That's effective and you want to use that. But what's even more effective is you take that workshop and then that can become a lead generator for you. You take that recording, put it on your website and say, hey, are you concerned about your balance? Well, check out this Building Better Balance workshop that you can get for free. Just give me your contact info here and I'll send it over. And you can put that on your website and you're going to reap the benefits of that from months and months and years and years and years. A good example of this is Stronger Life got a client yesterday that downloaded our one of our workshops that we did 3 years ago. They've just been kind of lurking in the background. They'll get our regular emails, they get that funnel, and in 3 years after the point, they made their decision. They came to Stronger Life. So if you have that funnel set up, that just increases your ability to convert some of those folks at that workshop. If you don't have that set up, you're just doing this one-off informational workshop where you are not getting those compounding benefits down the road. You want your time to work for you as much as possible. There's lots of ways that you can do this from the technical standpoint, but those are the big things I want you to think about. The topic needs to be their pain point. We got to start there. If you're not speaking to their problems, you're not going to get a lot of interest. You're not going to develop yourself as the expert in the problems of the folks you're trying to serve. And then you want to really think about compounding the benefits of that workshop. Make sure you get their contact info. Make sure you have a nice lead funnel where you're keeping that relationship development going through text, through email, through all kinds of those different manners that we can do that. And then make sure you get a solid recording, video and audio of your session to be able to use that content down the road, whether it's organic, social media posts or stuff on your website, or it's a lead generator on your site to be able to convert folks 3, 4, 5 years down the road. All right. Workshops. I've found them very valuable. There comes a point where you may not want to do them. There's a lot of times where you may want to do them. There's a lot of areas where we can really fumble the bag here, but man, if you get good before you get busy and you really make sure you compound your benefits, these can be a very, very good use of time. Once again, I want to mention those resources on the ptoниce.com website. We have a lot of different pain points that you can speak to. You download those workshops, You put your branding on it, and then you deliver the goods. We even give you a recording of how to actually speak to some of these things if that is a concern for you. Awesome. If y'all have any more questions, thoughts, disagreements, drop them in the comments. I would love to engage there. We get a lot of these types of questions within the MOA community, but I'd love to hear your all thoughts. Y'all have a good rest of your Wednesday and go crush that workshop whenever you do one. See ya.